Hey everyone, how's it going today? My name is Matt Jarbo. Welcome to $3 Theater. And I wanted to do something a little bit fun, maybe a little bit different considering how things are these days. And I wanted to talk to you guys about why I love Cloverfield. Why I love this movie. This movie is coming up on 13 years old. And it still very much is one of my absolute all-time favorite movies. It may not be yours, but I want to tell you why I love it. What it means to me, the impact it's not only had on my own filmmaking career, but just my love of movies in general. Now, this is one that I think took a lot of people by surprise, if I'm being honest with you. I remember July 2007, right before Paramount's Transformers stormed onto the big screen, we have this unnamed trailer showing a party. First person, point of view documentary, shaky cam, right? A bunch of people hanging out, playing in Timberlands the way I am, or the way I are. And then all of a sudden, like some crazy stuff happens and you don't quite know what's going on. Is it a monster movie? Is it a horror movie? There's explosions in New York City. Is it 9/11 all over again? No one knows what's happening until the head of the Statue of Liberty crash lands on the street and it kills the trailer. And all you get after that is a release date, 01/18/08. January 18th, 2008. And that, of course, is the URL. And if you went to the website, you were treated to some interesting photographs, right? Very ARG-esque, very Blair Witch Project-esque, which immediately caught my interest. Because for one, the Blair Witch website, when that launched back in 1999, was just something I will fully admit, I believed it was real. I wanted to believe, I wanted to believe it was real, but unfortunately it wasn't, and that's okay, but I still love the movie. So this movie to me felt very much right away like it was going to be that kind of experience. Like it was going to be that kind of thing, and I was very happy to check it out. I was very happy to watch it and to learn as much as I possibly could about it. And at the time, in 2007, MySpace was a thing. And so they had made MySpace profiles for all the people that were going to be in the movie. And you could learn more about Slush Show and about the Tagargatu organization, the company that was doing the deep sea mining, that was giving the Slush Show special ingredient and what potentially Cloverfield could be. Didn't know what it was. But the movie finally came out. On opening day of that movie, I went to the first showing I could. And I took my friend with me. I paid for him to go see it. We watched it. We loved it. I went to the drive-in theater I was working at that night. We had it playing there. I watched it 2 more times. I went back the next day with my coworker, his son, and my younger brother. And I paid for my brother to see it. So we saw it again. Then my coworker and I watched it 2 more times that night at work. And then the next night, the Sunday night, I watched it 2 more times. So in the span of the first weekend, the first 3 days of Cloverfield having come out, I watched this movie a lot. I watched it at least 7-8 times in the first 3 days. I watched it at least 7 times in the first 3 days. And even before it left cinemas, I organized a group screening of the movie where me and 12 of my friends, including my mom, went to go see it on its last weekend showing. And I even paid for my mom to watch the movie as well. So over the course of the film's release, I paid for 6 individual tickets to watch it. And as soon as this thing hit midnight release at Walmart on DVD, I bought it. Now this, of course, is the 4K version. I also have it in Blu-ray. This is a movie that I'll buy quite literally in 8K when it comes out. But let me tell you guys why I love it. This Drew Goddard written, Matthew Reeves directed, J.J. Abrams produced movie touches on so many things that I love. Point of view found footage, monster movies, and the mystery surrounding everything involved in this. You didn't know what to expect over the course of the film, and they did a great job with hiding the monster from you more often than not. You got a couple really good scares here and there, like when they're racing to get to the subway and the military is fighting the monster, and you just see, like, it's like a thrill ride. It's like a roller coaster. All of a sudden, Clovey's all, in your face, and I remember seeing it the first time I was like, ah! Like, I was in it. I was in it to win it. And over the 13 years, I've watched this movie more times than I can count. I love this movie. And to me, it's always been, very special to a lot of us who like horror and like monster movies and whatnot, because it was, as J.J. Abrams put it himself at Comic-Con, He says this is our monster movie. This is our Godzilla. That's what it was inspired by. It was inspired by all of that kind of Japanese storytelling, like all the kaiju films. They wanted to give us an American monster movie, and they did. But there's one other aspect of this outside of just the general filmmaking nature of it that I think is wonderful, and it's woefully, woefully, woefully underrepresented and under-talked about. Now, there is really not a soundtrack to this movie, with the exception of one score, one overture, and it's called Roar, and you hear it during the end credit sequence of the movie. And during this, it's like an 8.5-minute overture. It is done by Michael Giacchino. So this is before he did Star Trek in 2009. This is before doing Up in 2009. This is before I think Michael Giacchino really blew up. And this is his score I still listen to. You know, I still hum it to myself all the time. It's all dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. No. I just love it. I absolutely love that score. And even when my daughter my girlfriend was pregnant with our first daughter, we were talking about music to play. And we played John Williams' score, and I even popped this sucker on just because I wanted her to have a little bit of that knowledge in her before she popped out of the oven. Now, the thing with this movie is there's a lot of mystery to it. That's, I think, the key aspect, right? But not only that, I think the characters were fun. I think I liked HUD. I liked, T.J. Miller quite a bit. I liked Mike Vogel. I liked, what's her name? Odette Eustman is what she went by in the movie, but now she is Odette Annabelle. I don't know why she changed her name, but she did. So far, no one ever calls that out, but it's something that I happen to notice. Lizzie Kaplan was in the movie, and I always felt like kind of connected to this crew of people for some reason, right? Like I, at the time, was living in San Diego. This took place in New York City, but you could kind of see it happening anywhere with a group of 20-somethings at a party. And at the time, I was 26, so I was a 20-something at a party. So I kind of like just got in on it. I just kind of fell in love with what this movie represented. And the more I watch it, the more I notice little things here and there. I'm a big fan of point of view found footage. The 2 feature films that I've made have both been point of view found footage. And this is actually a real reason why I love that genre, is just being able to capture the in the moment perspective from this type of experience. I don't think Cloverfield would work necessarily if it wasn't a point of view found footage movie. Now, I know that there's been 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is a stellar movie, and I love Dan Trachtenberg's movie. And then you had Cloverfield Paradox, which, by the way, I even have that right here. I've got Cloverfield Paradox on Blu-ray. This was sent to me by Paramount a little over a year ago, and all things considered, it's not the best thing on the planet, but I still have it on Blu-ray. I still own the thing. So that should show you right there. I'm a pretty big fan. But the story needs to be continued, and that's one of the reasons why that even after almost a decade and a half, fans of the Cloververse, if you will, are still talking about it on Reddit. They're still sharing their theories. They're still posting their own fan art. They're still talking about the what ifs of the franchise, what to be expected. And here's J.J. Abrams always kind of teasing us on it. I know now he's with Warner Brothers doing a huge deal over there, and I would hope that he would find some way to continue this story, to continue this particular franchise. What happened after Operation Hammerfall? They said they dropped a nuke on New York City. Okay, well, if that's the case, how did the tape survive? That is something I'm kind of curious about, given the complexities of the film, if you will. But there's avenues with the exploration of what happened after, what happened before, what happened during. One of the things that Matt Reeves had said in an interview after the release of the movie was, or maybe it was J.J. Abrams had said it, one of the two had said it. He's like, you see somebody else, right? I think it was when they're talking about a sequel, and he's like, on the Brooklyn Bridge scene, you see somebody else with a camera. What was their story? What did they experience? How did they make it through this night, if they did? I'm paraphrasing, but that's the vibe that I got. And so for me, I was like, yeah, man. Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. I like that quite a bit. It's one of those elements where you're like, yeah, what did happen with somebody else's story? And I know that that's something that's been talked about pretty heavily, but maybe that's what Cloverfield 2 could be, which would just simply be somebody else's perspective. I don't know. But we're going to have to wait. And in the meantime, I just scored this for $10 on 4K. which is awesome. Which is awesome. And I'm very thankful that it exists. I'm very thankful that I have a poster somewhere from Comic-Con 2007 when they first gave you it was just the Statue of Liberty. You didn't know what it was. It was a teaser image. Having seen all the movies, enjoyed all the movies, and even owning them all on Blu-ray and 4K and DVD and whatever else I can get my hands on. Hell, if they would have released it in HD DVD, I probably would pick that up too. And all things considered, Paramount, at the time, well, they were more supportive of HD DVD. But that being said, Cloverfield is a movie to me that embodies mystery, science fiction, action, point of view, found footage, true, genuine scares, in a larger world that is unknown from what it feels like. And I know that with 10 Cloverfield Lane and with the ending of it, and even Cloverfield Paradox taking place in like multiple dimensions or multiple realities, or it's just different vignettes, different stories, all kind of under this Cloverfield ring or this Cloverfield umbrella. JJ has said that there is a sequel to this that is coming. And all things considered, they need to just get off their ass and make it. I think fans, after all this time, would love to see it on streaming. I think when they launched the Cloverfield Paradox trailer at the Super Bowl a couple years ago, people lost their mind over it with good reason. Sadly, the movie wasn't as good as it could have been, but hey, you know what, man, like beggars can't be choosers. However, I would love to see what comes next. I would love to see the story continues, and this movie just keeps acting as a reminder for something that I love. And that's one of the reasons why I love it. That's why I love this film. It's a fun movie to watch. It's scary. It's exhilarating. It's frightening. It's terrifying. The subway scene itself when they're in the darkness and the little creatures. The fact that Drew Goddard's follow-up movie Cabin in the Woods actually featured one of the little bugs as a bit of a cameo. You know, so the essence of Cloverfield has lived on since 2008. And I think it's a property that they need to revisit. I hope to hear your guys' thoughts on it, whether you like it or whether you don't like it. If you guys want to see me do more of these where I just talk about films that I like and films that I love and why I enjoy them, let me know, because I think it's more fun to inject positivity into the conversation than not. But all right, everyone, I'll talk to you all later. Have yourself a great day. Please be sure to thumbs up the video, help out in the algorithm, subscribe, like all that jazz. I'll talk to you all later. Have yourself a great one, and peace out.